Hi, it's Walter McKenzie, and thank you for making time to be in the moment. This month, we're focusing on Principle 5 of our educators' uh, principles of agency and efficacy. And the focus is on passion, acknowledging and nurturing the reasons we entered the profession and helping us to fan those flames. The current climate in education is so antithetical to that. It's constantly demanding and draining and raising the bar. And it's happened over time. And by the time we hit the COVID-19 disruption, there was such a piling on of responsibilities and a sense of we're all in this together. So all hands on deck, everybody get in here. We got to keep this going and get the job done. And educators, we did. We know we did. There's no question. And we had this hope as we worked through the pandemic crisis that this would lead to real change. That because we did our part and stepped up and got society through the pandemic in terms of public education, that it would lead to reforms, that we wouldn't go back, we would do things differently. And yet, every educator I know now is so overextended and so exhausted and so weary of all the responsibilities and all the job responsibilities on top of teaching that education is being treated as a custodial function. And that gets dicey for a profession because we should be treated as human capital, not cattle. The tendency for voters to look at education as, well, yes, I went to school for 12 years. I know what schooling's all about. I know the value of schooling. When my property tax referendum comes up, I'll vote accordingly. And schools are living hand to mouth. And as the proposition of federal levels of funding, uh, the methods that that's calculated moving forward looks like it's going to change, it's going to get even more dicey as to what we can afford and how it is afforded. And so the real challenge here is to back off a decades-long tendency towards addressing education by moving towards the lowest common denominator. Whatever the weakest link is in the equation, that's what we cater to just to keep everything going. And that means that anyone who's going above and beyond, anyone who's creative and passionate and talented, feels that they're not being seen, that the work is not being valued, and that eventually they get to a place where they ask themselves, why am I doing this? Why am I still here? No one seems to care. There's no path forward for me to do the above and beyond. And that's a problem because the reason we got into education was to make a difference. It wasn't to make money. It wasn't for power. It wasn't because we thought it was some kind of a career that promised something beyond the immediate, obvious goal of making a difference. So recognizing the human capital in public education, and I'm talking about educators, I'm talking about students. I'm talking about all of society, both our local communities, but also the national vision for where we're going. There is a human element to this that cannot be quantified in dollars and cents. It cannot be quantified in test scores. I mentioned in the accompanying blog post, you can replace buildings and buses. You cannot replace talented, committed, passionate people. When you lose them, they're gone. And who starts filling in the ranks when those that came for the right reasons are no longer in classrooms? When does it just become warm bodies catering to that lowest common denominator and not expecting anything more out of education than a custodial function of watching kids during the day, documenting grades, moving people along, Where's the excitement in that? Where's the commitment to that? How do you feel you're having any impact? How do you build a legacy from that when you just feel like your chattel being moved along as part of some business equation of this is the money we have, here's the seats, here's the student numbers, here's the funding we've received, and this is the best we're going to do. In addition to that, we need to map out alternative paths for staffing, for scheduling, for the relationships we have across our community with agencies and businesses, for educator professional learning where one size doesn't fit all. Because all these things are holding us back. All these things are creating the conditions where passion, the reason we all got into this, gets smothered. When your whole day is scheduled in so you can't breathe, when staffing is so scarce that you're doing the jobs of 3, 4, 5 people during the day because there just aren't people in those positions to take care of those responsibilities separately. When professional learning is just checking off boxes to get your licensure renewed, and you're told what you have to do to get that, and you don't get to pursue interests and passions that would really keep you going as a professional long term in your career. Why not have in-house coaches in addition to instructional staff, people that are there committed to working with you, talking you through the tough times, helping you with your professional growth, helping you aspire to something greater? Why not have mentoring across roles? So you're not only having a mentor one-on-one as a fellow science teacher, but maybe you also have a mentor out in the community in the industry that gives you additional expertise, access to resources, opportunities to learn and grow. Why not have new pathways so that you can stay close to the classroom and lead at the same time? And you don't feel like you have to leave the kids and move up into administration as the only way of advancement, or leave the profession completely because working conditions elsewhere are better and the pay is better, the level of respect is better, the chances for advancement are better. And this isn't just for teachers, this includes administrators, support staff. Everyone in the equation needs to be honored and feel valued and have that passion reignited. It's still there. People just eventually choose to go elsewhere when they realize there's nothing in place that's helping them to pursue that passion any longer. And so as we move forward, talking about transforming education, looking for opportunities to rise above the current status quo and help education to reflect what society truly wants and needs today. It's not the agrarian model. It's not the industrial model. It's not even the model from 25 years ago. So much has changed so quickly. And to transform education the way it needs to change, it needs to start with committed, passionate professionals in the ranks, in the schools, in the classrooms, supporting each other, celebrating each other, feeding the flames of the passion that each of them have, because it's all unique. No two people are in it for the exact same reasons, but we're all in there because we believe we can make a difference. And for that, I say, principle number 5 may be the most important principle of all of our principles of educator agency and efficacy. I invite you to read the accompanying blog post. I invite you to join us for our town hall in January, where we talk about the transformation of education. We'll have our 3rd panel in January talking about transforming education in the ranks. And we have an exclusive set of workshops coming up with Isabel Bozada Jones, where you receive training in the skills for educator advocacy, because we're not lobbyists, we're not politicians, but we need to advocate for this. We need to be our own best voice for how to move education forward. And so I invite you to take part in all these things. We look forward to involving you. Please know that in all these things, we are not a business. We are not in this to make a buck off of you. We are in this to empower you and engage you and to help all of us bring each other along. to make education what it was always promised to be, the cornerstone of our society and the way forward for each next successive generation to make the world better and to make the lives of all of us living better through the institution of public education. Thank you for making time with me today in the moment.